some revisions to these by other modders just to increase the capacity of the harvester itself. The engine didn't die. Okay. Kind of like we see semi-trailers with, 140,000 litre capacity that are the same size as semi-trailers with 48,000 litre capacity. Failed to take into account the hedge there. As I was saying earlier, this is a nice setup because of the four-wheel steer of the JCB, and the potato collector also has steering axle. Oops, how far did we go, Harlow? Sheesh, a long way. On this line, that's nice. How are we doing? This will take us to about 26,000. So we won't get another full mode here. Oops, let's stand on the brake. How many potatoes do we have? Beats potatoes. We currently have 240,000. I estimated 300, so there's this full truck. Plus potentially more. Frankly, I wouldn't be surprised if we got a significant amount more. Obviously the yield indicator is not particularly, what's the word for it, indicative at this point, because it tracks the harvest, which is digging the potatoes out of the ground, since the potatoes are just lying on the surface now. We already know how many we got. Obviously we don't know how many we're losing, because graphics doesn't show everything. It looks like we're picking the entire row, so we will assume that to be the case. I haven't done potatoes on this field. I haven't done potatoes on this map ever, apart from now. Oh, we're full again. Okay. So I don't have a reference point as to which potato harvester is the most efficient. I don't think I've seen anybody do a potato harvesting science experiment either. What we do know is potato seed is 10 times less efficient than things like wheat and barley. Okay, you can stop there. Time to run back to the shed. Kind of missed the pull alongside there. This tractor's doing okay. We will need to service it before, well, as I said before, this is the last harvest of the year. So, I think the only contracts around are things like cultivating contracts and fertilizing contracts. Now those cultivating contracts may then turn into planting contracts, and that's an indication that I want to consider buying that field before it gets planted. But if the local farmers are all planting winter crops, then that's a tight gate for a trailer this size. Yeah, if they're all planting winter crops, we'll be looking at mostly cereals in the locality next year. Now I can see the oilseed radish field from here. And yeah, another little cheat here. We do have a all-crop silo extender on this shed. The reason for that is because while the map supports the additional maize plus crops like spelt and triticale and something else, not linseed. Linseed is Chellington. There's another cereal crop, I believe, but they modified the map to take them. They did not modify the silos, the farm silos, to take them. So we are kind of stuck there for storage. And I discovered that when we harvested the triticale, we couldn't store it in the farm silos, and I didn't have anywhere convenient to put it. So I put in a universal extender on the silos, but obviously that now allows me to store clover hay, silage, I think TMR, manure, wood chips, and root crops. So as far as root crops is concerned, I probably shouldn't, but I'm going to anyway. Come on, tractor. You can do it. We're below 40% maintenance on this tractor, so that might be why we're struggling up this hill. I haven't figured out what the tractor problem, the impact of not maintaining your tractors is, apart from eventually they break down more often and they won't start, or they'll fail as they're doing a job. Harvesters yield lower, and harvester headers collect slower. So if your harvester header needs maintenance, you'll slow down from 6 miles an hour progressively till it's about half speed. So that's the penalty for the actual harvester headers. Obviously, in the case of a potato harvester, you're talking about, or a self-propelled harvester, you're talking overall maintenance. But there really isn't much of a maintenance on tippers. I mean, if I don't maintain the tipper, I don't know that there is any penalty for that. It's not like it's going to carry less. too hard or we'll smash the collector against the side of the wagon. But again, things like tractors don't have yield, but they do have horsepower, so it's entirely possible that the horsepower could artificially reduce due to lack of maintenance. This tractor should be okay because we're still up over 50%, barely. But as I was getting to, once this task is done, we're kind of into maintenance season, where all our vehicles that need maintenance will get a service. And then it'll be winter. The only thing we really do around winter is feed the sheep and count the new ones. Back up to the farm while that's doing its unload. So as I said, fertilization is done for now. Potato field, I'll probably plough it and then put some oilseed radish in it. Because root crops, you need to plough the field, so that's going to be a job for tomorrow. As we can see, 10 after 5, it's getting real dark. Ooh, stop. Okay, you're good. You're empty. So if I had doubled up these potato windrows, this would actually be less than a row per, or no, you'd be able to drive more than one row on the pickup. We use the side drop harvester, so all the rows are doubled up, which is probably a good thing because it involves less driving overall, I think. This corner got to be very messy because it's a little bit tight, the angle I'm driving. The angle I'm driving works well for, obviously, the other side of the field, but this side of the field, not so much. I'll turn the engine off, or the picker-upper off. Allows me to move a little bit faster than 6 miles an hour. Okay, so I guess the one remaining question is, do we have more than one wagon load of potatoes on the ground? I've got nothing else to do with them but sell them. I'll plant them. Oh. At least this time I'm actually remembering to raise the pipe. Usually a bit bad at that. Okay, that's 16,000. I don't know. Guess we'll see. I mean, these are short rows since we're getting into the corner. But overstressing the hitch there. We've got what, one full length row and then a lot of little ones, and we're already half full. We know the full length row is more than the harvester can cope with. We may end up being lucky and just having the full truckload and then a little bit left over in the collector. Shall see. But it does fill really, really quickly. $75, $800. So, 17,000, this will put us to 26, 25, maybe. I don't know. It's Saturday math time. Okay. Turned off again. Again, I'll turn the engine off to give myself a little bit more speed on the turn. Alright, last full big row. As I said, I doubt we'll get a full load into that trailer. So we got more than 300,000. I guess that makes us happy. It's going to be interesting selling them all, of course. Don't know where the sell point is for potatoes. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We can see there are spots of potatoes in the field that remain unharvested. That's the worker's fault. I was harvesting with a worker because, frankly, I couldn't be bothered to do it myself. And this day has been an exceptionally busy day. So any job I can do with a worker, I'm going to. Yes. The brake does not make the tractor go. Surprising that. So I guess for right now I will fill up the... I don't think... Oh, there's only 1,000 left in there. So we have capacity for almost 5,000 more. Or no, 5,400 more. So just maybe the rest of the field might fit in there. And if it does, that'll be a good thing. Because we can then just vacate the field entirely. Problem is individually potatoes aren't really worth a lot of money, but when you factor in all of the other stuff, or how many are in the pile, it makes a difference. Okay, come around and collect that bit there. Oops, I'll try to at least. Oh, that worked. Then, I don't know if I'll make that corner. No. I will if I keep it straight, because the back of the tractor will... It's a thing to remember with four-wheel steering, obviously. Normally, if you're just doing front wheel, the vehicle will veer in the direction that you're turning. That's a good thing. But if you've got four-wheel steering, while the front of the vehicle will veer in the direction you're travelling, or you're turning, steering, the back will veer the opposite direction. So if you're right up against a wall, the back end of the vehicle will swing out into the wall. And it seems I frequently forget that. I think we are looking at the final bits. Now there's no map I can check to see if I've got everything, because this is effectively crop tipped on the field and that doesn't show up. For that last patch, come on tractor, you can do it. And that is done. We can turn that off, raise the front. We can't empty it here, so we will just go sit behind the case. This might be a bad plan. Because I have to drive the case like it's got a great long cart on the back, and like it's hauling a potato harvester in order to make all the turns. Oh, we are struggling with this. I think we will probably put the case in for a service immediately after this job. So yeah, you can see little spots of potato that weren't harvested, and frankly they're so sparse. I think each spot's about 2 litres. So potentially there's a few hundred litres of potatoes left in the field, but harvesting them is just going to be so much of a pain. To get all of them. Plus our harvester is not a collector, so we would just deposit all of the potatoes on the various field, and then we'd have to go up and pick up the bits Did you get stuck on that corner? I'm guessing you did. Yes, you did. So, turn the dude off. Let's see what I did, because the harvester hangs over to the right, so we're actually scraping along the wall, which possibly also the edge of the map. Come on. There we go. And that's kind of what I was worried about. Plus now you can see the problem with the steering axle. Good grief. We just don't have the horsepower to drag that out of there, so let's really having issues with how the collector steers rather than anything else. We're okay there, but then as soon as I turn, the back end spins out straight into the wall. There we go. Okay. Made it. Whoa, dude, not cool. Right, let's go back in there. Engine on again. And negotiate the next. What's the word for it? Obstacle. Oh, I did it again, didn't I? Whoops. Took the corner too wide for the cart. But that wasn't a wall, that was a hedge, so sadly. Oh. JCB made it. Woo. So we're going to take the cart down to the bottom of the yard once it's empty. Through the middle of there so that JCB doesn't hit anything. Alright, we can stop the JCB following. So yeah, I use the grain doors. It's a slower tip, but it doesn't tip high enough that we're interfering with the roof. That job is done.